With that down, let's move on to main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted in to us by Rian Cleary, who writes, "Hey John, hope you're well. I am doing well, thank you. Thoughts on the passing of one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, Kirk Douglas, at," you're not reading that number wrong, folks, "at 103. He was in one of my favorite movies, Spartacus. Thanks." And yeah, man, Spartacus is one of, you hear me talk about, whenever I talk about my all-time favorite movies, Spartacus is always one of them that comes up as well. But he was even more than that. From Champion, Ace in the Hole, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, on and on and on. The dude had one of the most iconic careers. I remember even as a kid, he did this movie that, I don't know, it's really not a good movie, but as a kid, I loved it. He, as an older man now, did a movie with Burt Lancaster called Tough Guys. I remember that was, as a little kid, that was like one of my first movies watching him, and there were these two old mobsters who get together to do crime again. I loved it at the time. In retrospect, it wasn't that great, but I just love this dude. I even remember loving him in this tiny, tiny role he did, because you guys will often hear me talk about this really underrated comedy, this underappreciated comedy by Sylvester Stallone called Oscar, that I totally, totally love. And he just has this very small but amazingly hilarious part in the movie that starts the movie off. But when we often talk about movies in terms of the greatest moments in movie history, I'll often talk about the big lightsaber duel between Luke and Vader in the Emperor's throne room, stuff like that. But without any doubt, one of it's minimum top three greatest moments in the history of cinema is at the end of Spartacus. As, they've been captured by the Roman legions, and Spartacus stands up because, the Roman commander's like, "Which one of you is Spartacus?" They got hundreds of them because they know they're going to torture the dude. And Spartacus stands up to sacrifice himself, but as soon as he does, another one of the gladiators that follow him stands up and says, "I am Spartacus." And then another, "I am Spartacus." And then hundreds of them standing up, "I am Spartacus." It is simply one of the greatest moments in the history of cinema. And you know what, guys? It's difficult when you're talking about somebody who was 103. It's less of a sense of mourning, I think. I mean, you're cognizant of the loss, one of the greatest, most iconic figures in the history of Hollywood. And his son ain't doing too bad either. But he was 103. This man lived a life, got to see his son become one of the most iconic figures in the world of Hollywood as well. He's got to see his own status grow and grow and grow. And simply one of the most celebrated, fantastic careers in the history of Hollywood. Aaron, as somebody who yourself got to star in something called Spartacus, obviously standing on the shoulders of Kirk Douglas, your thoughts on the passing of Kirk Douglas?
Well, I shared something on Instagram yesterday, and obviously there's no end to what we can talk about regarding his contributions to the world of filmmaking. But I also want to talk about, when you reach that level of celebrity, for lack of a better word, although I really detest that term. When you reach that level of visibility, people have a choice of what they're going to do with that visibility. And what I love about Kirk Douglas is that he continued to give back to the community in which he lived and thrived. I posted this photo. I don't know if you can see it.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. It's a blurry photo from whoever took it, but it's from 2006 when he was 89 years old, and we were down at the Los Angeles Mission feeding the guests who come there for Thanksgiving, who otherwise may not have a Thanksgiving meal. His wife, Anne, had contributed so much of her time and energy, and he had also contributed so much that she had a center named after her, the Ann Douglas Center for Women at the Los Angeles Mission. So if anybody wants to not only celebrate his memory by going back and rewatching some of your favorite films, but also by giving to something that was near and dear to his heart, consider going to lamission.org, and you can also do /Ann Douglas for Center for Women. When you were talking about that moment of "I am Spartacus," no, I am Spartacus, it flashed in my mind really quickly how often we see that theme repeated over and over. And what I was thinking about was in the Robin Williams film and I'm oh Captain, my Captain, when all the students
Dead
get
Poet Society.
Yeah, Dead Poet Society. You know, that's just one example, and I'm sure that the viewers and you guys probably have other things that are popping into your mind of those iconic moments of films that really stand the test of time. And I agree with you, John. It's not necessarily a mourning as much as it is a celebration. And may we all contribute even one fraction of what this person has given to society.
Chris, you heard about the passing of Kirk Douglas. When you think about the passing of and the career of Kirk Douglas, what comes to your mind the most?
Oh my gosh. I mean, what a celebrated and long career. 103 years? Come on, man. He saw so much of Hollywood. He got to see so many things change and grow, and that's so interesting to me. My Nana had a VHS of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and that's what I first saw him in, was just watching that over and over again. And of course, Spartacus and all of those things. He picked so many different roles. I mean, you brought up Tough Guys. He randomly was on Tales from the Crypt back in the 90s. I mean, this guy did everything. And I think when you see something like that as a performer or as just a person in any field, it encourages you to try new things and experiment and be brave. And he had this really, really great quote that was, in order to it's something like, you have to be brave enough to fail in order to succeed. I'm butchering the quote. It was on one of the walls of one of my classrooms growing up. And I just love that he applied that to his own career and his own life, of just take chances, go out there, try new things. And I think that's something we all can learn from. And I think you're right, too. This seems more like a celebration, because 103 years, that is a wonderful long life. He had so much love and support from his family and his fans. And he was always just such a joy to see.
And 65 years of marriage. He
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
they asked him, how have you stayed married for so long? And he said, I always told my wife, if you ever leave me, I'm going with you.
All right, guys. Question is, what are some of your favorite memories of Kirk Douglas? What are some of your favorite films of his as well? Jump on down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts. All right.